Welcome back to Tony's Garage. Today we're back on the Ramcharger. I don't know if you guys remember, but I pulled this thing out of the weeds last September. Actually out of a tree line. Made it run, tried driving it home, pretty disastrous. A little bit of flames, a little bit of smoke. But eventually got it home. And it's been kind of my very, very slow pet project. It was on the back burner, so I was messing with my Mercury they ended up with. But I'm back on it. I've changed the fuel pump at least 3 times in it. For some reason these new fuel pumps don't hold up. I don't know what the deal is, but I finally quit buying the cheap ones, bought a Bosch pump, and I've been good for about 2 months now. Been driving it around, and now the rear axle's been howling like crazy, and I've decided I'm going to just switch it with another axle I found used. Paid $100 for it. The axle that's currently in it was out of another parts truck the previous owner put in it, and it had a different set of gears in it, so the speedometer's been off. I found, I believe, to be the right set of gear set in this rear axle, so switching it's going to put my speedometer back where it belongs, and also take care of the howling in the rear end. I already have that axle ready. It also looks rusty, a little crappy, but it'll be alright. It's only 48 degrees here in Iowa, and I'm not going to be painting anything in 48 degree weather, so it'll wait till spring. I'll power wash it, I'll clean it, and I'll paint up underneath here. So while we're changing this rear axle, I went ahead and bought axle flip kit from eBay, like $120 shipped to my door, and we're going to lower this truck about 6 inches, and I think it'll give it a nice stance. I'm not going to go any lower than that. The front end, I'm going to go ahead and probably just cut 2 coils out of the nose of it. I know some guys are going to roll their eyes at that and not like it. I did it on my 88 short bed. I've been rocking it that way for 4 years now and had no problems. Drives fine, doesn't ride rough. I've had no issues. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Probably just start with 1 coil and move on from there. But anyway, let's get this thing in the shop. Let's get started. Alright, so I figured before we pull it in the shop, I'll go ahead and do a quick little comparison. For later on, we'll be a little side-by-side. So this is what the truck looks like before it's going to be lowered. As you can see, pretty good gap here. And a really big gap back here. I don't want it to be like full-blown lowrider style. I do like a nice, kind of more of a muscle truck stance. That's kind of what I'm going for. Honestly, trying to do this as cheap as possible, quick as possible. I know you can do the lower van control arms up front, but again, like I stated, I've already done it before with just got a couple coils out. If it rides like crap, then I'll buy new springs and change lower control arms. I think I'll be all right. So here's a quick look. That's what it looks like before we lower it. We're gonna pull her in the shop, get her started. I'm pretty excited actually to get this rear axle swapped around and get it lowered, mainly so that way I can drive the truck without having to worry about the axle locking up on me. So alrighty, I'm gonna pull her in the shop, get her ready to go. Okay, so I got the truck in the shop here. I'm gonna get it up in the air, get it on jack stands, make sure things are safe, and we're gonna go ahead and just unbolt the 4 bolts that hold the drive shaft to the axle. I'm gonna work on getting the rear brake lines unbolted, and I'm planning on just torching the U-bolts, because the whole reason of buying the flip kit was also to get brand new U-bolts so I don't have to mess with these old rusty ones. So I'm gonna go ahead, get her jacked up, get her in the air, make sure she's safe, and we'll start getting this apart here. Okay, so update here. Truck's in the air. We went ahead and got the wheels off the back of it. I crawled underneath here, undid the 4 bolts, 3/8 head for the drive shaft. Went ahead and pulled this bolt here that was like a vent that holds the brake line, this bad boy right here, to the rear axle. Undid the 2 brake lines that go to it. Went ahead and pulled both these 2 clips here for the e-brake cables and unhooked the e-brake deal from right there. So now all that's holding this up is the U-bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and torch them, let it drop. Technically I could go ahead and undo the shocks too. I haven't done that yet. Probably will real quick, get them off that plate. But then I'm gonna go ahead and cut these 2 U-bolts and let this thing fall out of here. Alright, shocks are unbolted. I'm gonna go ahead and hack these puppies out of here real quick. Alright, the other side's cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut this side. Alright, the axle's ready to lower out of there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get ready to drop this one out. Got to make a mental note for myself later to come fix some of this wiring. That's for old trailer lighting that's long gone. Got to redo it, actually put a new in, but for some reason every hillbilly in southeast Iowa, or wherever this truck came from originally, likes to hack up the wiring pretty bad. So anyway, here we go. We're going to go ahead and lower this one down out of here real slow. I'm by myself, so I can't really hold it steady, and it'll be okay. Perfect. It's down and not on my feet or fingers, so we're golden. I'm going to drag this one out of here and get ready to put the other one in. Alright, so the other one's out of the way. Now it's time to do the most fun part that I really can't stand, and that is putting the new axle up over the lease. First I got to slide it under here, put it over this side or the other, whichever one you prefer. Kind of slide it far enough one way, then squeeze it in through. With the drums on, it gets pretty tight in here. I've done it before a few times. It isn't always the most fun, but it's a lot more fun than trying to dick with pulling on these leaves and taking a lot of time pulling the shackles out or whatever. So I'm gonna try to squeeze these things through here real quick. I can't really hold the phone and do that at the same time, so you're gonna have to bear with me, but we're gonna go ahead and try to get them popped in. Then we'll get at our actual axle flip kit install. So my plan was to try to slide this rear axle underneath there, put it up over the leaf springs, like I've done on many other ones. It's very tight to do it that way, but I've had no problem on my 88 Dodge, my 89 Dodge, and well, a few Chevy trucks. Not the same exact thing, but for some reason this one, no matter what, I can't get that up over the leaf. So I'm going to do something that's probably doesn't make sense to some people, but I still don't want to mess with taking the shackles loose and all that. I'll have to wait a few weeks for parts. I don't have time to wait for bushings and everything. So what I'm going to do is actually pull these axle shafts out, then pull the brake assembly, which will make this just basically the tube to put up over the rear leaves. I was going to go ahead and put new axle seals in this axle anyway, and I was going to go ahead and change the fluid, so might as well just do that and get it up in there. So hang with me as I take this apart and slide it up in there. Well, that was more fun than I could ever describe, but the axle's been taken apart, axle shafts removed, put back on here. I now have it above the frame, or above the leaf, sorry, and it's back together. I still got to get the cover on the rear axle still, but it's back in here where it belongs. I've had to alter about everything from this Chinese flip kit. These wouldn't fit in here like they were supposed to, so I had to grind the sides down so they would fit in. This plate had curved edges, so it wouldn't fit flat across this plate. The U-bolts they sent me wouldn't fit into the shock mounts, so this eBay $120 shipped kit I'd stay away from because it does not fit our trucks, but with a welder and a grinder it does fit. So anyway, got the axle above the leaves. I'm gonna get these U-bolts tightened down. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the rear diff cover back on, get some fluid in it, and try to see what height this is going to be at. I had to also make new brake lines when I took the brakes off the old, or the brake lines off the old axle. They broke and crumbled apart, so I had to make some new lines. So I'm going to throw them on the axle itself. The rubber line was still good, so I'll just tee them into that, and we'll go ahead and get this thing slapped back together a little bit at a time here. First things first, we're going to get the U-bolts in. I'm not going to put it all the way down right now because I still got the brake lines and drive shaft and whatnot to do. But I do want to put some weight on the axle just to kind of get an idea of the wheel and this wheel well here. Just because I probably won't finish this again tonight, and I'm curious. So let's get these U-bolts tightened down on both sides, and we'll throw a wheel on it just to see kind of what we're looking at. Well, there's a sneak peek. It's not on the ground, but man, that looks like it's going to be low. So I guess finish putting it together here, get it on the ground, then lower the front and see how this is going to go. It might be a little bit too low. I might have to figure out a way to bring it up just a little bit, but I do kind of like it. So I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. So trying to put this thing back together, went to go put the drive shaft in. Come to find out, these yokes, this is the old yoke from this truck. This is the yoke that came on the other axle. I just assumed since they were both out of the same kind of truck, they'd be the same yoke. But it turns out one is a lot wider than the other one. So I've been fighting this for about a half hour, getting these yokes switched around. So got them off, gonna get this one put on, get this drive shaft put back in, get these brake lines done. All right, so I got the drive shaft in. I have the rear brake lines in. Now me and my lovely daughter are bleeding them. My 10-year-old. She's getting a leg workout here. We got one side blood the first time. We'll probably have to do it a couple times. We're gonna get these blood and we're gonna get it on the ground here. Is that 10, baby? Okay, hold to the floor, we'll pop her loose. So there you have it. A few days longer than I planned on doing after having to wait for parts and fixing parts and altering parts, but the Ramcharger is lowered. I do think the back's a little lower than I'd like it to be, but for right now it'll be fine. I'm gonna try to bring the back up just a little bit, I think. But it looks great, looks way better than it did. And after driving it and things, I can't tell a bit of difference between the altered suspension and this suspension. So I'd say that's pretty good success. It rides just like it used to. And with the rear axle, now it's not howling when I drive, so that's a good plus too. So a little walk around real quick. But I think it looks pretty good, gets it a good stance. Alright, thanks for following along. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more stuff for the Ramcharger. Gonna do some more cleaning up. Try to get this trim put back on. Eventually I plan on doing a paint job and stuff, but that's a little ways off still. I plan on doing dual exhaust here come spring. So just stay tuned, follow along, see what happens next with this old Ramcharger. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe. See you next time.